Last week, week before last that I was here, and it's so hard to keep track of when we've been sick and who's been sick and everything. So, recap, the king of Judah was visiting the king of Israel. Jehu attacked, killed them both, because God told him to, because both men were wicked. A new king took over Israel. When last week we discussed that when the king's wife heard that her husband was dead in Judah, she killed all the kids, all the king's children. And she took over ruling, and 7 years later found out they had hid one of the kids. They made him king, they executed her, and so we get to the place where he has grown up. He actually ruled for 40 years, and he was a good king in Israel. He didn't remove all the shrines to the false gods, but he did lead the people in tearing down the main temple of Baal, and he put money into renovating the temple. Solomon's temple had fallen in disrepair because nobody cared about it because they were worshiping different gods. This king brought them all back and fixed the temple, and he brought people back to worshiping the true God. So he was a good king, and he ruled for 40 years, and then he died and his son took over. 40 years, yeah.
Suicide.
Actually, he was assassinated. Someone didn't like him and killed him. Yeah, he was killed. Yeah, that wasn't a good thing for her to do, the one who did that. She was Jezebel's daughter. And so she didn't have a real good example, a good mothering to start with. Over in Israel, that was Judah. Over in Israel, Elisha was living in Israel. He was mostly a prophet to Israel. He got sick, and this was the sickness that was going to be his last sickness ever. He was going to die. The king came to him and mourned for him. And Elisha said, I want you to shoot an arrow out the window. So the king shot an arrow out the window. And Elisha said, this means you're going to conquer your main enemy, the kingdom of Aram. Now I want you to take a handful of arrows, and I want you to hit the ground.
Okay, that is probably
Yep, just like that.
That's probably not something you hear every day.
It probably isn't something you hear every day. He hit the ground 3 times, and then he stopped, and he looked at Elisha. And Elisha got mad at him. He said, you should have hit the ground 5 or 6 times, because if you had, you'd have wiped your enemy off the face of the earth. As it is, you will win 3 battles, and then they'll defeat you. Because of this was part of the prophecy, you did it wrong. Then Elisha died, and they buried him. And then comes the interesting thing, probably the strangest, or one of the strangest, no, it doesn't compare with the floating accent, but one of the strangest miracles in his career. He's dead. He has nothing but bones. Someone else, we don't know who, died, and the funeral procession came out, and they were going to bury this person that died, and they saw the enemy coming over the hill to do a raid on their town. So they looked around, they saw Elisha's tomb, they threw the dead guy in Elisha's tomb, and they ran back to town to prepare for the enemy that was coming. The dead guy they threw landed on Elisha's bones, and he got up and he ran back to town with him.
Wait, the dead guy?
The dead guy. Someone sat down and counted all the miracles the Bible records from Elijah, and all the miracles the Bible records from Elisha. Now you remember when Elijah was taken up in the fiery chariot? Elisha asked for a double portion of Elijah's gifting, of his spirit. Elisha did, counting that last miracle, Elisha did exactly twice as many miracles recorded in the Bible as Elijah did. I find that very fascinating. So we move into a new era now. Elisha is gone. We've got new kings, and we'll learn more. Not next week, because next week is our Christmas program, but the week after that, we'll learn more about Israel and Judah. Okay. I'm trying to remember the tune. To shine for